Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. Tonight, let's go back to the American War for Independence and explore a lesser-known but vitally important battle in the American struggle for freedom against the British Empire. This battle took place after the American Army had been reborn under Baron von Steuben during the winter at Valley Forge, and it would be a showcase of the resolve and courage of the American troops against the mighty British Empire. Let's go back to 1779 and explore the Battle of Stony Point. Stony Point sits just north of New York City on the Hudson River. At this time, the Brits had control of New York City and the surrounding regions. In the spring of 1779, George Washington commissioned the fiercely competitive General Anthony Wayne to lead roughly 1,200 American infantrymen up the steep cliffs of Stony Point off the river and take it for the Americans. The Americans attacked the British outpost on July 16, 1779, and the fighting was brutal. 3 or even 2 years earlier, the Continental Army would have stood no chance. But now, under General Wayne's leadership and with new discipline given to them by Baron von Steuben, the Americans withstood a series of brutal hand-to-hand combats with bayonets and axes and gradually drove the Brits back. Anthony Wayne was nearly killed when a musket ball hit him in the head. Thinking he may be finished, Wayne shouted to his men, "March on, boys! Carry me into the fort, for should the wound be mortal, I will die at the head of the column." Well, Anthony Wayne survived to see his boys take the outpost of Stony Point from the British. 15 American soldiers were killed and 83 more wounded, but the damage they inflicted on Great Britain was much more severe. The Brits lost almost 600 men, most of whom were captured as prisoners of war. And in a tactical maneuver that proved genius, Washington arrived at Stony Point and removed his soldiers, fearing an attack on the waters from the Royal Navy. The British Navy, sure enough, arrived on July 19th to find a destroyed outpost and no American army, as the colonists had successfully escaped. 2 years later, the Americans would win a decisive victory at Yorktown in a very similar way, and this would lead to the war's end and the country's freedom. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.